Hello and good evening to you all. My name is Shashank Singh and I welcome you here in another session of DNS dated 25th September 2024. We have taken up important news and articles from The Hindu, Indian Express and the Business Line newspaper, New Delhi edition dated 25th September 2024. And as per the practice, we have segregated our discussion into two parts, that is mains and prelims. For mains, we will be taking up topic of manufacturing sector, its status, significance, and challenges. Second is a significant document has come up with the name Pact of the Future related to United Nations, and mostly it is centered around the long-awaited demand of UNSC reforms. So we will be taking up this topic. For prelims purpose, we will be taking three topics. First is Venus Orbiter mission, which India is planning to launch. Second one is Repairability Index. And third one is map-based question related to a location or a nation called Tuvalu. So let us begin our discussion. So inspiration for the first topic of today's session comes from this news article which featured on the Business Line newspaper page number 12. Now, Minister of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Piyush Goyal, has said that India is garnering a phenomenal response in world community related to investment in India, and which is directly translating to the or going to benefit the manufacturing sector. And as India is targeting the year 2047 as for the tag of a developed nation, we are looking at the rise of manufacturing sector to an extent that it will contribute 25% of GDP by 2047. Now, if you will look at the GS paper 3 syllabus, the manufacturing sector is an important topic which relates to the theme of employment, human development, planning, resources, and other themes like effect of liberalization on the economy, changes in industrial policy, and their effects on industrial growth. Further, if you will look at the PYQs, the questions like faster economic growth requires increased share of the manufacturing sector in GDP, particularly of MSMEs. In 2019, UPSC asked, can the strategy of regional resource-based manufacturing help in promoting employment in India? So again, an important theme directly related to GDP as well as employment. Further, in 17, UPSC asked that account for the failure of manufacturing sector, which we know as an outcome of liberalization that we kind of jumped off the stage of manufacturing development in India. So this question was related to that account for the failure of manufacturing sector in achieving the goal of labor intensive export rather than capital intensive export. Now, in topics of joblessness, you might have understood or might have gone through this discussion that we have a capital intensive export oriented model which is not that conducive for creating more jobs. Rather, we need labor intensive, the orientation toward labor intensive export. So this was question based on that. So here in this discussion we will be quickly looking into the status of manufacturing sector at present, what is the significance of manufacturing sector, how it is so important, so vital that it has become a recurring theme in UPSC, and then we will see what are the challenges associated with what are the issues associated with manufacturing sector, and we will end this discussion by having a quick look at the way ahead. So let us begin our discussion with the status. So, manufacturing sector is growing at a faster pace. Now, if you will talk about the financial year of 23, the manufacturing export, the amount of manufacturing export reached almost $449 billion. Now, this figure will make more sense when you will consider the export value in the year 2021. It was just around $240 billion. So it is it was around $290 billion. So this jump is more than 40% in just 2 years time. And the estimates, or the, you can say, speculations suggest that in financial year 24 we are looking up and above $700 billion of export value. So that is why it is promising. Second thing, that it, at present, because we are targeting a 25% share of GDP, at present it contributes 16 to 17% of GDP. But most importantly, because you have seen a question also related to employment, it, till now, the available data till 2022, financial year 2022, it has created more than 27 million jobs. And this is where the most significant aspect of manufacturing sector lies. The amount that it is dealing with, plus the job it is creating. So this is what the status of present manufacturing landscape of India. Now let us see how it is significant. What is the significance of manufacturing sector? Now, first is obviously, as you have seen, the employment generation. The potential you have seen that it has at present around 27 million jobs. Now, it is particularly important for creation of job for the skilled and semi-skilled workers. Now, when you are creating job, definitely you are addressing two issues. First is the joblessness. Second is you are generating avenue of income for those who are getting jobs. Now, generating income and addressing joblessness will have a direct impact on poverty reduction. And that is why everywhere, whenever you will discuss about joblessness, the way forward would be based on manufacturing sector. Whenever you will discuss poverty alleviation program, you will talk about we should invest in manufacturing sector, because this is something which you can term it as enabling thing, the basis of enabling factor for the large chunk of population. Now, for example, just take a small example, the potential to create job. You might have heard about the Maruti Suzuki plant in Manesar, Haryana. Now, that plant alone, that manufacturing unit alone, create more than 40,000 jobs directly. Leave alone the supply chain, the suppliers, the distributor, those who are providing service, those who have showroom, leave alone that. Directly, the manufacturing the Maruti Suzuki is providing in India is 40,000 jobs upfront. So this is the potential. Second is the economic growth. Now you have seen in your GS, you might have read about how we calculate the growth of economy. We calculate it through GDP, GNP, all these kind of indicators. And in news itself, you have seen that manufacturing sector is going to see a jump of 7 to 8%, and it is going to reach at around 25% of GDP. Now, that is a huge amount. Definitely, it is going to contribute in economic growth. Now, a robust manufacturing sector will definitely, it is not going to have this that growth will be only in manufacturing sector. It is going to have a spillover effect. It will have a forward and backward linkages. So it will also benefit the agricultural sector. It will also benefit the service sector. So it will kind of, the robust manufacturing sector will reinforce or will fasten the growth of other sectors also. Further, if you are aiming at creating your country as a manufacturing hub, definitely you are not going to do this thing in vacuum. You are going to manufacture more because you might be having a domestic demand, which has its own limitation. Definitely, you will have a demand in export market from other countries also. So definitely when you are having a manufacturing hub, then you are going to look at higher exports. And what exports will do? Will bring you foreign exchange and investment, which can be used in various sectors. Fine. Another thing is, when you are going to develop a country as a manufacturing hub, definitely those companies, those multinational companies who are coming to your place are going to come along with the innovation, new technologies, better investment, and this innovation and new technologies will ensure a sense of competitiveness in the market. What you have seen that Foxconn, the which has come up in India with its manufacturing unit for Apple, don't you think those level of cutting edge technology and productions line setup in India will motivate, will also act as a catalyst for instigating or promoting innovation in other companies also? Same is true with Samsung building its facility in Noida, Uttar Pradesh. So these multinational companies come with their own methodologies, their own innovation, their technologies, their investment, which is going to help you in many ways. It will give you better access to better innovation, better practices, and it will also come up with the sense of competitiveness, because in order to remain viable in the market, you are going to compete with the world player. Another significance is value addition and supply chain development. As we discussed earlier, what is value addition? In manufacturing, you are turning up a raw material into a finished product. Now, definitely, a finished product will give you, will can fetch you more money. With better money prospect, you can have a better life prospect also, a quality of life, quality of job, quality of money, everything will increase. So this is not just about making a table out of raw wood. It is about, by selling that table, by working on that table, every worker is going to get a higher degree of remuneration, and then they will be able to maintain a better quality of life. So is true with the supply chain development, because if you are going to make something, let's say you are going to assemble car, then you will be needing gearbox, then you will be needing an engine, then you will be needing lights, then you will be needing different components. So there would be a supply chain, there would be a supplier, then you will need a distributor to sell your car, then you will be needing a setup to service that car. So it will be having a spillover, or you can say a domino effect over entire supply chain from backward till forward linkages. Then another important thing is, if anyone wants to develop their country as a manufacturing hub, the prerequisite is infrastructure. Now you have to create an infrastructure with good roads, ports, then you need electricity, then you need water supply, then you need good accommodation facility. All of this are required. Everything is required. So definitely when you are going to develop all these things, it will have an impact over the surrounding also. What about the Mundra port? Mundra SEZ, Special Economic Zone. Now you are giving infrastructure to Mundra SEZ, but it has a spillover effect over entire region. Most of the underdeveloped area are now seeing light of the development. They are having roads, they are having electricity, they are having good accommodation facility. Everything is there. They have a running economy. So in order to create a good manufacturing hub, the prerequisite is infrastructure development. And definitely when you are going to develop infrastructure development, it is going to benefit everyone. Lastly, the attraction of foreign direct investment. Now, as the minister said, the world is positive. In what sense they are positive? They are positive in a manner that they want to invest in India. Now, in financial year 23, around $50 billion of investment came to India, and most of it went to the manufacturing sector. So it will attract FDI. Now, this FDI, there are various terms that you have to invest this much amount here, that much amount here. So it will also help other sectors to grow. So all in all, focusing on manufacturing sector can fetch you so many benefits around the economy, and that is why for every thing that you will read related to development planning, manufacturing sector comes at the core of any discussion, that we need to invest, we need to do more, we need to attract. Every state you must be watching is having their own summit. They want business families and business houses to invest in their state, because they are this is something, a medicine for multiple issues. They can elevate poverty, they can create jobs, they can create they can bring in investment, they can bring in technology, they can create a good picture of that particular state altogether. Because then it will be like, you might have heard that most of the companies prefer to go to Maharashtra, Gujarat to build, or Chennai, Tamil Nadu. They prefer these locations. Why? Because they have built their image like that. And most of the, if you will see the HDI index, or the in terms monetary values, or the GDP of these states, they are doing great in terms of job, in terms of quality of life. They are doing great. So that is why the manufacturing sector is important. But yes, there are challenges, there are issues which are plugging manufacturing sector. We have segregated the discussion in two parts. There are issues at policy level, as well as there are issues as at structural level. The first is complex taxation system, and this is related to GST. Though GST has solved many of the problems which were earlier there regarding taxation and cascading effect of tax structure in India, everything like that. But it has its own share of problem, like tax slabs gets changed. Sometime a government announces 18% bracket, sometime they say it is now 5% bracket. Now, this thing creates kind of trouble for the business. Second thing, there are complex compliance issues also, which create problem for the manufacturers or the business houses to continue their business seamlessly. Let's take one example. Uh, in 2017, when GST was introduced, restaurants were under the slab of 18%. But then people objected it, that how come you can put in 18% bracket. Then it was reduced to 5%. Now this is good for the consumer, but what happened, the restaurant owners were not able to claim their input credit after being transferred to this input credit for the GST that they have paid for procuring raw materials and rent and all those things. So restaurants owner were not able to claim their input credit. Now this is a problem. This is kind of hurdle. Something going smooth and suddenly something changed. So these fluctuation of rates and this compliance, the complexity in compliance creates problems. Second is the labor laws. Now everyone who wants to set up a business is would love to have flexible labor laws. Now government came up with new labor codes, but we are standing in 2024, and still most of the states have not compliant with the new labor codes. Now, this is one problem. There is no uniform labor code, labor laws. So, companies will prefer those destinations where they have this flexibility and ease of doing business. Then, another problem is related to land acquisition. Now, you all know we have all sort of problem regarding the land records in India. the dispute regarding title. First, there is no clarity who is owner. Then, record itself is flawed. Not every inch is covered. Thirdly, there are politically motivated protests. Fourthly, there are some genuine protests by the local residents. Now, sometimes what happens, it causes delays in start of the plant or the unit. And a manufacturer or an investor, because of this delay, kind of faces losses in the market. And they tend to withdraw their proposal, and most of the time they shift, and many a times they withdraw their proposal altogether. What happened to Tata plant in West Bengal, where they ultimately shifted to Gujarat after waiting for a long time? Next is, which is true for almost the base of everything, the education itself, the investment in research and development. We overall put very less effort in R&D. And that is why we said when foreign companies will come, they will come with innovative technologies, methodologies, because we ourselves are not putting efforts, the requisite effort in research and development. And definitely, that is the reason why we are dependent on others. Until and unless we will not invest a huge amount in R&D, we are not going to become a global hub, because then it will be just a contractual job. Any big company will come, they will give you a third party contract to manufacture something, and you will be pursuing that only. For developing your own products and to gain that space in the market, one need to invest in research and development. Now, let's come to the structural level issues at structural level. Now, I said that prerequisite is infrastructure. Now, in these days, we are getting the news of highways and all those things, but still, India is having an inadequate infrastructure, and which directly affects the logistical cost. We don't have deep sea ports. We have a huge turnaround time. If you know about this, turning around time for ships. We don't have modern facilities at ports. We have congestion at ports. Road infrastructure is not having that notion of last mile connectivity. Electricity is still an intermittent thing, and creates trouble for most of the region. So, still, the investment is good. We are moving in a right direction, but still, it is inadequate, and it is limited to certain pockets of the country. Then comes the next thing, that is access to finance. Now, for any business to grow, you need a cheap and readily available finance. Now, both the things are not available, because you should know this, that in our manufacturing sector, the majority of unit or the projects belong to MSME category. And in this MSME, small enterprises are way more than medium, and leave alone the large enterprises. So these small enterprises, when they fail to get a cheaper loan and readily available loan, it increases their cost, and it hampers their capacity to revamp their structure and their productivity or the quality. And definitely, when the small industries and small enterprises are constituting the majority, and they are not getting funds, they are struggling to get finances, they are going to hamper, they cannot revamp. And definitely, the when major chunk is struggling, the sector is struggling. Now comes the problem of missing middle, which I already briefly discussed previously. Now in India, we have large enterprises, few, and several small enterprises. They outnumber medium enterprises. And this is what missing middle is. We have either unviable small enterprises or too large to fail, too important to fail large enterprises. So we have this missing middle. That cushion is missing. Next is the technology adoption. Now you know that majority of them are small enterprises. They don't have money. Medium enterprises are struggling. They are very less in number. Now in Industrial Revolution 4, when we talk about terms like AI, machine learning, we talk about Internet of Things, we talk about other advanced technologies. These small firms struggle to get access to these technology, or even if they will get access, they cannot utilize because of lack of funding and lack of capabilities. So these are the challenges which are clogging the manufacturing sector, and government of India is doing its best, Make in India initiative like Make in India PLI scheme. They are trying to promote manufacturing. Every state is having that competitive federalism. They are trying to lure the major companies, multinational companies, by streamlining their procedures, this ease of doing business and all. And everyone is focusing on boosting the manufacturing sector, which unfortunately Indian economy skipped during 90s after LPG reforms. Now, what is the way forward? You already know that we need to have innovation through startups, and we for this we have to create a conducive ecosystem by providing access to finance, hand-holding, tax incentives, access to market, and Startup India is a good initiative in this direction. Then the next thing that what we can do is focusing on sunrise sectors, which is based on newest technologies such as blockchain, robotics, machine learning, big data, AI, etc., to leverage opportunities created by Industrial Revolution 4. Now, another thing is plug and play model. What is plug and play? As the name suggests, you don't need to do anything. Everything is ready made. You just have to play and plug it in and play your device. So that is another solution that one can have. Sorry. So in this, the investors are provided with land at affordable cost with all necessary pre-clearance, including environmental clearance. It would also provide inbuilt office spaces, all the basic facilities such as electricity, water, etc. And many states like Maharashtra, Haryana are planning and have decided to come up with such models that everything we will create for you, you just have to come and start the business. Then comes the most important thing, which is capacity building. And for this, you have to cover the entire supply chain, or you can say operational chain, in which all stakeholders, namely government, industry, and academia, is required to identify the changing requirement in manufacturing and prepare an employable workforce. In the context of employability of engineers, there is need for thorough review of standards of engineering education and its linkages with industry. So that's all for this topic. Let us take up the second topic of today's session, which is based on the news article which featured on page number 12 of the Hindu newspaper. Now, United Nations has unanimously passed a new document, and they call it Pact of the Future. Now, this is significant step because not very, you can say concrete, but at least to begin with. And that is what India has said, that it is a good beginning. You all know that India and many other countries are demanding for UNSC reforms since very long. And for the first time, United Nations has come up with a document where idea of UNSC reform or the promise of UNSC reform has taken shape of text for the first time. It has been mentioned in a text. So, for those who have been advocating it since 1945-46, it is the first time they are they are taking it as a very positive step that first time uh, something came on the paper, at least. So, if you will refer to GS Paper 2 syllabus, international institutions are mentioned there, and it is important part of your UPSC examination. And certainly, United Nations Security Council is one of the very important platform which you should be aware about. So, before moving further, we will take up. We should understand what is UNSC, United Nations Security Council. Now you know that there are five permanent member, that is 5P, and 10 non-permanent members which are elected or selected by General Assembly for a tenure of 2 years, and the focus is on representation of various geographical regions of India. Sorry, world. So there would be some countries from Africa, there would be some countries from Asia Pacific, some countries from Europe. So kind of giving representation to all geographical areas around the world. And they have a tenure of 2 years. Now main problem is these five permanent members. Now namely USA, UK, France, Russia, and China. Now, before moving on to any discussion that what is this Pact of Future document, what it has to say, let us understand this thing. Now, focus on these countries. USA is representing North America. France, UK, and Russia are more or less representing the Europe. Three countries for Europe and one country for Asia Pacific. So, North America, Asia Pacific, Europe. What about Latin America? South America, that is. What about Africa? What about South Asia? What about West Asia? There is no representation as of in five permanent member. We will take up that this discussion that why there was a. This is not the only thing which is reinforcing the demand for UNSC reform for a long. There are multiple issues. So we will take up them one by one. Before that, try to see why this document is important. So I'm just reading the text that has been given by UNSC, and then we will take up why this demand is so important and why there is such kind of demand reforming UNSC. So the pact promises to enhance the council's representativeness, inclusivity, transparency, efficiency, all the good words, effectiveness, democracy, and accountability. Uh, so these documents are never short of good words. We all know. Uh, Thing to see is whether they can become a practical reality or not. And second is that first time in a UN summit document, a detailed paragraph of UNSC reform has found its place. Uh, so there is no it is not encompassing very detailed discussion, but it is a good beginning again. Now there is a optimism for initiation of text based negotiation, at least within a defined time frame, because now there is a text. Now somebody can ask that what you are doing with that text. At least they can ask. Earlier it was not there. So it is again a good beginning. Now it also underscores, now which is important, the commitment to address historical injustices faced by Africa, recognizing it as a special case. Now, leaders agreed to improve representation for underrepresented regions, including the Asia Pacific, Latin America, and the Caribbeans. The pact emphasizes the necessity of enlarging the Security Council to better reflect the contemporary realities of its member. So, why this enlarging was so much in demand? Why there is need of reform? First thing first, the outdated representation. Now, this UNSC was created after the World War II. So, many experts see it as that Allied power won this World War. They were victorious, and they rewarded each other by giving them power of veto and a status of permanent member. So you can see all of them are uh, all of them, most of them are allied powers. France, USA, UK, Russia, China. In World War II, China was fighting with them, alongside them, against Japan. So in Manchuria and all those regions. So exactly what happened, that after World War II, the victorious power, they gifted each other, kind of return gift was there. So it was created, and then we entered into era of Cold War, bloc led by Russia, bloc led by USA. Now, this outdated representation has the, you can say, the distribution of uh, you can say what the exploits of war among the friends to Cold War. Now, this is a multipolar world. So, this permanent status to these five countries is kind of outdated. So, definitely, what has been, if you can, if you know, the only reform has been done till date was in 1965, when number of non-permanent members were increased from 6 to 10. That is the last reform. Now it is 50, more than 50 years. There is no change in representation. Second is the concerns over sovereignty and unilateral actions. Now this is something problematic, and at center of it is the veto power. Now, with veto power and with the decision of UNSC, you can say it is the strongest body in United Nations. What UNSC thinks, United Nations executes most of the time. So, UNSC, these five powers are unilaterally deciding upon things. Like in most of the cases in Africa, I'm talking about continent, the local population, the local representation of the concerned country of Africa are not taken on board. They are the main stakeholders. They are at the forefront of all the miseries and all the slaughter, but they are not taken into account. These five majorly, these five countries will decide that what is good for them. So this is about sovereignty. This is about unilateral action. And now talk about these veto power. Apart from that, they also put sanctions, which has potential to cripple the economy altogether. Take the case of Iran. It is in tatters, the economy, and just because of the sanctions which has been imposed by the UNSC or the bloc led by the US. Third is there is lack of recognition for major contributor. Now you might have heard about UN peacekeeping force. Now India is one of the largest contributor to these peacekeeping force. Of, Obviously, because the major P5 powers are engaged somewhere else. Somebody is engaged in Ukraine, somebody is engaged in West Asia, somebody is engaged globally, everywhere, in every sea, every nook, and every corner. You will find the boots or the ships. So they are busy there. So the peacekeeping mission, one of the major contributor or largest contributor is India, but they have no place. Same is the case with France and Japan. they are major Germany and Japan. Economically, they are one of the biggest contributor. But again, no place in permanent membership. So it is lack of recognition. Then comes the futility of veto power. Now, veto power was given to undo the injustice, but in reality, veto power has only created deadlocks. If you will go and see several matters, one or the other country will put in veto power and deadlock will be there. So, what was envisaged as a decision making body and which will take decision on the basis of consensus, they are using this veto power to deadlock the to stall the to you can say curtail any action, and this is what happened in Syria. The delay in response, and one of the biggest human catastrophe happened in Syria. Just because the proposal was getting vetoed by one or other party. Now, when we talk about multilateralism at every place, when we talk about multilateralism at every place, in environment mitigation programs, in you can say WTO, in trade facilitation, we talk multilateralism. Now, here we are not practicing it. It is not multilateralism. It is coterie of five countries who among themselves are fighting with each other. So, what is this multilateral? Where is the representation? In this present world, the multipolar world, the concept of multilateralism is gone. Then comes the changing geopolitics. Now again, the same as the first point, that from a bipolar world to a multipolar world, we have changed a lot. The demands have changed. The issues have changed. So, in words of the UN Secretary General himself, you can use this as a conclusion of this debate also, that we cannot forge a sustainable future for our grandchildren with a system which was developed for our grandparents. So certainly you are way ahead, way forward. You have way forward in every aspect of life. So the system that was created for your grandparents will not go is not going to help your grandchildren anyways. So that would be the concluding thing, and that is why there is a need of reform. And again, this charter which came this pact of the future is being considered as a welcoming step and a good beginning at least. And that's all for this discussion. Let us move to discuss the prelims questions. And the first question is inspired from this news article which featured on page number 11 of the Indian Express newspaper. Now, India is planning to launch its Venus program in 2028. Now, after the success of Mangalyaan and Chandrayaan, the Union Cabinet has cleared the budget for the this new mission on Venus, and it will be known as Shukrayaan, the Hindi name for the Venus, Shukrayaan. And again, it will be led by ISRO, and ISRO will be the agency who will be leading and executing this mission. And why we have taken up this news article? Because UPSC has been asking questions based on space exploration and advancement in the field of space exploration, as they have asked in 2016 a question based on Mangalyaan. So we have taken up a question on the Shukrayaan. But before moving to see the question, we must see uh, some basic details related to Venus orbiter mission. Now, again, it will study the planet's atmosphere, surface, and geological features using sophisticated scientific instrument, definitely, like robots and various kind of telescopes. The mission will place a spacecraft in our orbit around Venus. Once the satellite exits the Earth orbit, it will take around 140 days to reach Venus. Now, the mission will carry scientific payload weighing around 100 kg. Now, India will also perform a very important technology, that is aerobraking. Now, what it is, as the name suggests, it will help to reduce a satellite's orbit by using atmospheric drag instead of relying solely on fuel-powered engine. And it is particularly useful for missions to planet with significant atmospheres like Venus, where it helps conserve fuel. An interesting thing is that very important three missions are planned, and if India succeeds in launching its plan in 2028, it would be ahead of US and European Space Agency. Now, US has planned to send at least two more missions to Venus, that is Da Vinci and Veritas. I'm saying ahead of US with respect to Da Vinci and Veritas. And secondly, ESA, that is European Space Agency, is also planning to send Envision mission by 2030. Now, why we are going to study the Venus? Because you know that Venus is termed as twin to Earth. It is very similar to Earth. So scientists want to study the evolution because it is a similar planet. While with time it became inhabitable, Earth remained habitable. Once upon a time, it had 4 billion years ago, it had a water which can cover the entire surface with a depth of 3 kilometer of Venus. But now it is all gone. So scientists also want to study how climate change affected Venus, and they will corroborate this study with the impact of climate change on India. Plus, they will also look for because it's a, you will see in subsequent discussion that carbon dioxide is the majority component of its atmosphere. So they also want to check for the volcanic activities. So kind of it will give an insight into Earth's own evolution, impact of climate change, and the volcanic activity will further helpful to read about or to study about the geomorphological phenomena. So let us read about the planet itself, Venus. I told you that it has a solid surface, and because this is one of the three inner planets beside Mercury and Earth, and it is nearly the same size of Earth. As I told, 96.5% of atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide, and there are sulfuric acid clouds on the planet. And that is why it has an high greenhouse effect, because CO2 is a gas which is responsible for the greenhouse effect on our planet also. Further, it has an extremely high surface temperature, around 462 degree, and surprisingly, Mercury is closer to the Sun. But still, Venus has the highest surface temperature. Third thing which is important is atmospheric pressure on Venus is much higher than that of Earth. It is 90 times that on Earth. Okay, while surface pressure on Mars is around 1 by 100 of that of Earth. And Venus rotates very slowly on its axis as compared to Earth. One rotation of Venus lasts around 243 Earth days. And due to slow rotation of Venus, it has no global magnetic field. What is important that NASA's image data from Magellan spacecraft visit to Venus has revealed evidence of volcanic activity on it. About 80% of the surface of Venus is composed of flat plains of volcanic origin. Now, there is a huge region in India which is volcanic origin. We known it as a basalt plain. Uh, if you know, then let us know in the comment box which region I am referring to, the basaltic plain in India. If you know the answer, please let us know in the comment box. Let us see the practice MCQ. Statement 1 says Venus has an atmosphere largely composed of methane. No, it is CO2. The atmospheric pressure on Venus is 90 times that of Earth. This is a correct statement. There is no evidence of volcanic activity. Incorrect, because the Magellan spacecraft has evidences of volcanic activity on Venus, and it has a flat plain of volcanic origin. So you had to identify the correct statement, and second is the only statement which is correct. So our answer would be A, that is only one. Now, inspiration for our next question comes from this news article, which featured on the Business Line newspaper, page number 8. And Department of Consumer Affairs has created a panel to develop a repairability index. Now, what is it? As the name suggests, you buy an electronic item, let's say mobile. This index will tell you uh, what is the probability, or what is the extent to which you can get your device repaired if there is any technical or mechanical flaw. So then you can compare different devices. Now you will go to the mobile store and you can see the index that okay, this is repairable, this is not. I will get parts for this, but I will not get part for it. So it will help you in making more informed decision before purchasing. So various indexes are important from UPSC perspective. As in 2015, they have asked about index of 8 core industries. So we have curated a question based on this repairability index. But before that, let us see some important information. I told you it has been created by Department of Consumer Affairs, and it will release its report by November 15. The purpose is simple: it will allow consumers to choose and compare electronic item based on repairability, promoting informed decision. Okay, so it is in a way a step towards consumer empowerment, because you are more aware, and you can make an aware decision before purchasing it, rather than being harassed after making the purchase. Then it will definitely create a standard rule or a standard index which will be applicable to entire industry, and there would be an uniformity, and it will be led by Additional Secretary DOCA Mr. Bharat Khera, and focus is on electronics and sustainability goal. By enabling repairability, the index will provide affordable repair options, improve consumer satisfaction, and support sustainability efforts within the technological sector. Now you have to identify which of the following statement correctly defines the repairability index. And certainly the answer would be A, because it aims to provide consumers with standardized information to compare electronic products based on their repairability, promoting informed purchasing decisions. So answer would be A. Now let us take up the last question of today's session, that has featured on page number 11 of Indian Express newspaper, and it is related to sinking of Tuvalu, a country of around 9 atolls, a cluster of 9 atolls, and located in the Pacific Ocean nearby Australia. If you can see here, uh, northeast of Australia, the 9 atolls, and Funafuti Lagoon Atoll is the largest one, and this is the capital also. Uh, the area is only around 26 square kilometer, and mean sea height is just 2 meter. Now, like all the countries in Pacifics, this is also facing a problem of submergence due to rising sea levels. And with this rise in sea level, they have a stress of losing out their exclusive economic zone because, as per UNCLOS, dry land is considered to measure the exclusive economic zone. So once your dry land, let's say this is your dry land now, earlier, now this area gets submerged. Now your EEZ will be computed on the basis of what is left over. So what Tuvalu is trying to made amendment in UNCLOS, that is UN Convention on Laws of Sea, and they are saying that measure and demarcate our exclusive economic zone as of the present status of our land, and make it a permanent arrangement, because what we are going to face is because of the global community, the sea level rise, the global warming. So we must not lose on the resources that we have. It has a very big EEZ, and fishing industry and seabed minerals are very important for its economy. So it is trying to get it done, but again, to no avail. They have not made any positive headward progress in this. NASA has predicted that by 2050, the biggest atoll, that is Funafuti, and will be submerged. Mostly, it will get submerged, and it will affect, because out of 11,000 people who reside in Tuvalu, the population of Tuvalu, 60% live in Funafuti. So definitely, if it is going to be submerged, this around 6,000 people are going to be around 7,000 people will be relocated or will be displaced. So UPSC has been asking question based on like they asked to arrange the correct sequence in Southeast Asia. So we have curated a similar question on that line. So this submergence, this encroachment by this inclusion of salt water, they have crisis of fresh water. They are making up highlands for general agriculture and their needs. They are dependent on water tankers for fresh water delivery. They are losing out their economic zone that I told you. So what Tuvalu is doing, they have entered into a treaty with Australia, which allows 280 Tuvaluans to move to Australia annually. It is also constructing sea walls and barriers to guard against worsening sea storms. And it is also building 7 hectares artificial land which can stay above tides, because mean sea level is just 2 meter. Now, what is the problem? Why they are demanding to demarcate their exclusive economic zone? Because UNCLOS, as per UNCLOS, extent of maritime zone is decided by features of permanently dry land. Okay, so rising sea level, what it will do? It will do the submergence. The island nations like Tuvalu risk losing or diminishing their exclusive economic zone because the dry land will be reduced. Thus, they want an amendment to UNCLOS which allows, they say that demarcate it now and let us permanently retain control of our maritime zone. Okay, so that their fishing rights and mining of seabed mineral remains intact. Now, according to current international law, dry land is also essential for recognition of sovereignty. Now, Tuvalu has been campaigning to its maritime boundaries and statehood recognized, like permanent statehood recognition. That even if we get submerged, at least consider it as a state. Because once we are submerged, you will say there is no dry land, you are no country, you are no state. So you are gone from the map. So they are demanding to demarcate permanently their economic zone as well as recognition as a statehood recognition. Now, see to this question. Consider the following statement. Tuvalu is located in Indian Ocean. Incorrect. It is in Pacific. Tuvalu has entered into an agreement with European Union. Again incorrect. It is Australia, not European Union. So which of the statement is correct? Answer would be D, neither one nor two. So that will be all for today's session. If you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment box. We will respond you as soon as possible. If you like our initiative, do like the video, subscribe the channel. Thank you for attending today's session. Thank you.